Hi, I'm Amber Anderson, your online retention specialist here at WSU. I thought it might be a good idea to go through an example of how I used to stay organized in my classes. It wasn't too long ago that I was actually taking classes here at WSU, maybe a year and a half ago, and as a lot of you are balancing families, personal life, work, and all your online classes, it can be a challenge to stay on top of everything. So I thought that I might show you an example of how I stayed on track and organized and was successful in my classes here at WSU. I like to organize my courses using binders. This one is a 1-inch. I like to do 1-inch binders because if you go any bigger, they get a little bulky, especially if you're enrolled in several courses for that semester. And this front page just is a little printout that I printed out, but oftentimes I'll put the name of my course, the CRN number, the dates of the course, and my name just in case, like my name and contact information just in case I misplace it. But you can really, kind of print out whatever you like just to indicate which course this binder is for. One of the first things I like to do when I'm organizing my classes and my binders is get on Blackboard, find my syllabi, and print them out. And when I do that, I always put them in the very front of the binder because for me, this is the bulk of the information for the class. It's going to tell you who your instructor is, what their office hours are, how to reach them, when to reach them, all that contact information, as well as your textbook materials that you'll need to access. So, before your classes start, it's good to make sure that you have the right book, and if you're doing ebooks, it's good to get online and make sure you can access those ebooks, and that's going to be right here in the front of the syllabi. So this is a really good way to stay organized. Usually in the syllabi, they're going to let you know about class procedures and policies. They're going to let you know what you're accountable for in class, and they're also going to let you know what they're accountable for as far as like grading feedback and when they're available to help you and things like that. So I like to keep this in the very front of my binder. Another really cool thing about syllabi is they usually have course calendars that list everything that you're doing in the modules or the units or the weekly, however they have their classes laid out. They'll have a list of everything that you're supposed to do and read and review, as well as quizzes and discussions and assignments and things like that will be laid out, usually with a point value. And that's also a good way to kind of keep track of what you're getting as you go through the course. So you kind of know what you have going on in your class as far as your grade. Another good piece is to actually take that kind of table that maps out all your modules and all your assignments and due dates and reading instructions, is to kind of put that in another tab and start highlighting what you need to do for that week. So for like Module 1, for example, I know that I need to read Chapter 1 and 2. I know that I need to review PowerPoint's content notes and key terms. So, and there's also a video. All the discussions and all the assignments are here laid out for me. That way I know that this is my checklist and this is where I go to start doing my coursework and stay on track. As I mentioned, when you look at your modules or units or weeks, however your instructor has your content laid out in the syllabi, you can start to print things off, such as, the PowerPoints, content notes, or key terms. So you can make another tab, which I did, called Glossary, and this is the glossary for Chapter 1. You can print this stuff out. That way you can easily refer and flip through and find out what your key terms are for that chapter. You can print out the lecture notes, and they may be PowerPoints, they may be an outline. And this is nice too, because you can go through here and highlight information that you've read or that you need to read. It's also really good because usually this information comes from the publisher, and the publisher will outline the really good chunks of information that you really need to make sure you read and review. So if you don't like to read word for word in your textbook, you can kind of go through your outline and make sure you hit all these key points. If you're just kind of skimming or you're just looking for a specific session, this is a really easy way to follow Chapter 1. As you're going through the materials, you can start, taking notes or writing down page numbers to the textbook, or writing down things that you find interesting that you can refer back to. Another good way to stay on track in your online course is to actually print off the feedback that your instructor provides you with. So as you go through the weekly instructions and do the assignments and submit them, your instructor will give them back to you with a point value and comments and suggestions to enhance your grade moving forward in the class. So what I like to do is kind of print off the instructions and assignments and feedback that I receive for every assignment. That way I can easily refer to what comments my instructor made and how to fix things and how to improve for the next assignment, so I ensure I get the most points I can moving forward in the class. Another cool thing about printing off your feedback is not only like the highlighted sessions with comments from your instructor, they usually have rubrics that they provide you with. So this is a good way to kind of print off your rubric and read through the comments that they give you for each section that they graded with the point value. And I think that this keeps things really clear. That way you know what your instructor wants from you. You'll get an idea of how they grade. And so when you're moving forward in the course, you're going to be really prepared to get the best grade possible if you refer back to the weekly feedbacks your instructor provides you. Something else I like to do in my binders after I print off all the course materials and key terms and notes and outlines, things like that, is actually break down the modules. So depending on how many modules are in the course, I like to break down and give a tab for each module. That way I can easily flip through and go back to Module 1 or skip ahead to Module 7, whatever you need. And I also like to cut the little pieces that come in your syllabi about everything you need to do and the point value for just that module. So this is Module 1, here's everything that needs to be done in Module 1, here's all the points for Module 1, things like that. You can also jot notes down here. So what I like to do in each module is print off articles that your instructor will include in your modules as you go through the course. So not only will you be reading from your textbook, oftentimes your instructor will add interesting current events or things like that. So you can print these off and file them by module. So I printed off the 2 articles from Module 1. There's 2 articles, and I tabbed the first one with a sticky tab and the second one as well, so I know that I have 2 things to read outside of my textbook. So it keeps me organized and it keeps me on track, and it ensures that I read everything I need to read for Module 1, and so on and so on. So if you know, you get to Module 7 and you think, oh, we talked about that, you know, in Module 2, you can flip back and easily access this. You know, instead of being in Blackboard and just clicking around and trying to find that article, you can just quickly access this, flip back to it, look at what you highlighted, look at the notes that you wrote to the side, and remember why these things were important to you, and that helps you study and retain information. Every binder that I do have, I like to include sticky notes because I never know what is going to hit me and I'm going to find interesting, and I need scratch paper. So it's really easy to keep sticky notes here in your binder so you can jot stuff down, stick them wherever, you know, throughout all of the tabs that you've created. You can stick them wherever you need to. You can have them hang out on the top or the side or the bottom, whatever you need at that moment to remember what you were studying. And I also like to include these little color coordinated tabs that you can, you know, you can write, you can label stuff, you can date stuff, you can write due dates, you can say, oh, remember this, you know, this is urgent, it's red, we need to get that done, and you can kind of put those wherever you need to as well. It really depends on what keeps you personally organized. Highlighters are always a good idea. Different color highlighters are helpful, and you can kind of go through your notes or due dates and color coordinate what you're highlighting as well. Another thing that I like to use is like a weekly planner or any kind of planner, any kind of calendar, whether it's electronic, it's on your kitchen wall, on your fridge, on your computer, on your cell phone, or like right here in front of you. This is something I like to do as I'm flipping through everything I need to get done in Module 1, for instance. So all these titles that I need to do and read and go through, and the assignments, discussion boards, things like that, I like to pick dates and actually assign what I'm doing for that day, instead of waiting until the end of the week where everything's due and then I'm in a panic because I didn't read everything, or you know, something came up and I had to go to a family outing or something like that. I like to break these tasks up and kind of do an equal amount of work every day. That way I don't get overwhelmed. That's just my personal way of studying. You would have if you have a different type of studying, that's okay too. But for example, if I know that I'm going to be working Monday and Tuesday, I know that I'm not going to have a lot of time to read and go through the Blackboard courses. So I'm really going to like chunk out all my other assignments here on these days. Or if I know I'm going to be out of town these days, I'm really going to try to work ahead and chunk all my information here. That way I'm done and I'm not, you know, panicked at the end of the week. So these are really pretty templates, and if you like this, I can email you. I can email you the template, or I can print them off and actually mail them to you. Just let me know. I'd be happy to share.